rose of the ashes, the spirits light up the night, looking down.
Now, from the Untold Radio Network, it's Untold Radio AM with Doug and Alex Hajicek.
Hello.
We had technical problems again. It's unbelievable. I don't get it. I'm going to put like chains on my door, on both doors in the studio here. Just to that. Huh?
I'd recommend that.
Yeah, just so I can prove to myself that I'm not going crazy, that someone isn't coming in here and totally changing every setting, everything. Again, it's bizarre. Okay. Anyhow, we have to like completely reconfigure it again. Anyhow, welcome back. Oh, that's stressful. We got back from the Ohio Bigfoot Conference. Alex was there. Blaine was there. Hold on here. Now I'm screwed up again. My phone's going on. And tonight we've got Robert Leiterman, who I believe I met 24 years ago in Northern California. Our guest.
Yeah, he seems like a great guy.
Yeah, well, I met him 24 years ago doing Mysterious Encounters TV show. That was a long time. It's crazy. Anyhow, so he is a former park ranger in California, and he's got a cool new book out called The Bluff Creek Project. So
yes,
we'll get into that. So anyhow, we just returned from Ohio, and I want to do a kind of a call out or a shout out to a bunch of people that really were just amazing down there. If you don't, do you mind, Alex, if I do that?
No, that'd be great.
Yeah. So anyhow, we had a ton of fun. The weather was a little warm because it happened to coincide with them doing a bunch of construction, remodeling, and of course the air conditioning was broken in the speaker room and the vending area, so it was a little warm, but I'm sure that'll all be squared away by next year. But anyhow, so here we go. Here, first off, I want to shout out to Simon. You know who Simon is? Do you remember Simon? Little Simon?
Yeah, I remember Simon.
Yeah, the young guy that we met just literally on our way out the door. That was right when we were leaving the lodge. But let's thank Mark DeWorth, Don Keating, who I'd never met before, Tim and Dana Halloran. I mean, these are the nicest people on the planet. Matt Pruitt, Adam Davies, Brian King Sharp, Cliff Brockman, Darby Orcutt, Bill T., who we met with down there in a meeting, Loretta, Angie, Little Orson, a new friend, Dr. Russ Jones, Brad Keenan, and then Abe Del Rito surprised me down there. And then Kevin Morrison and Jay. We met Jay down there, who's a lot of times in chat. I don't know if he's here. Oh, he's here.
Yes, he
hey,
is.
Jay.
Hey.
Jay Charlotte. Let's look. Yeah, no, I think that probably covers everything. Oh, and Kenny. This guy that I met online ended up saving my butt because he had special audio equipment, because we had kind of a special presentation that we did that was different than everybody else's.
Yeah, he said
so we needed like a double audio system. Their audio system down there was amazing that Mark had set up, and all the screens. They must have 16 screens.
Yeah, it was
for the presentation. Yeah, it was great. Anyhow, thank you, Kenny. That was awesome. Anyhow, so our trip started out weird, right? I got to tell this story because I've been flying for a lot of years, right? I've done a lot of things and flown all over the world and done stuff, but this was kind of a weird trip, but it ended up quite fun. So we went to the terminal, or before we went, I was assured we all had kind of like front seats and everything. I'm a little bit claustrophobic. My fault. I got claustrophobic working down in Belize and caves. doing a lot of splunking, water-filled caves, and it came back with claustrophobia, the worst type. Anyhow, so I kind of have to sit in the front. I don't need first class, but the first, like, maybe 8
First
rows,
seat.
I can keep my brain going without going nuts. But I was assured, we're like row 4, and we get to the thing, and then we get our boarding pass, like row 9. And we had Comfort Plus was the name of the class. Yeah. So they went to great lengths to get us, good comfy seats.
Yeah.
And they booked them quite a while ago. Anyhow, so we get to the terminal. Here's where it gets funny. And we look at our gate, and I've never seen this gate. I'm not going to mention the airlines tonight. I've never seen this gate. And I'm talking, I'll bet you through my whole life I've been to that terminal 500-600 times, right?
Yeah.
And I've never heard of this gate. It was like, what? So I show it to, I happened to see one of those drivers of those electric kind of trams.
Yeah. Yep. The little carts that they have.
They'll run handicapped people down to the terminals. So I just show them, like, can you tell us, where is this thing and how far away is it? Because we got held up in security forever. So he looks at it and he laughs. He starts laughing.
He does.
That's right. So we hop in. I give the guy $20 because I'm really happy. Whatever. We're going to take this quick ride. After like 20 minutes of driving in this thing, pretty quick, I go, are we almost there? And he started laughing again. So then we're driving another 10 minutes. I asked him again, are we almost there? He starts laughing again. And I'm like, at this point, I'm like, what is going on? Where in the hell are we going? So finally, the thing, he stops. He said, I can't take you any farther. This is as far as it goes. You got 5 more minutes of walking, maybe 10 minutes of walking. We're like, holy crap. So we go downstairs, like 3 flights of stairs, and we start walking toward a long hallway. And as we walk, it keeps getting smaller and smaller. And the ceiling even starts going down. And then I think, didn't we have to go up again one more flight of stairs then to get to our actual gate?
Yeah.
Yes. And then we go up again. And there's our gate. There's like 4 or 5 seats. We're like, what? At a gate, 4 or 5 seats. I mean, there'd be more than that for a little tiny Cessna.
Mm-hmm.
So I look out the window and I look at our little plane and I start counting. We're row 9, right? Row 9. And I count and I'm like, dudes, we're in the last row or near the back. You're right near the back of the plane. So anyhow, we ended up, it was a great flight, but it was a tube. Alex literally had to crank his neck sideways because the airplane wall was like pushing him in.
Yeah, it was like this for 2 hours.
Yeah, it was crazy. So anyhow, it was fun. It was actually one of the smoothest flights I've ever had.
It was.
Landed on time. It was on time. Got there. Met all of. I guess Mark throws a party for the speakers.
Yeah, that was
really fun. Yeah, and the food was amazing. There were a lot of people there, and so it was crazy. You guys never even ate though. You and Blaine.
Yeah, we were so caught up in catching up with everyone, meeting people
crazy.
for the first time.
Yeah. So anyhow, bottom line, it was just a blast. The whole trip was super, super fun. Mark puts on one heck of a conference. Now I know why it's legendary.
Yes. Now I know why it sells out immediately.
Yes. And there were some other funny things that happened. People were, we're all, because especially the people, we all know each other. There were some pranks going on and there was some fun stuff. Like I'd be sitting with Blaine and Alex and Abe would be like sending pictures of us from afar away. Like he goes, I'm watching you. And so he's goofing around. And in the end, Abe brought over, because we have this inside joke of hard-boiled eggs, he brings me, through Brian King Sharp, runs over an egg to me to sign. So I sign it, and I know Abe's hiding somewhere, and I know he's watching. So I sign this, autograph this hard-boiled egg. We're all cracking up, and then Abe pops out behind a pillar. Okay, whatever. But then we all ended up going outside to a patio area to meet and talk and whatever and have a beer. And I said, Abe, he goes, oh, I'm going to auction this egg off. And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, good. You better get back to your room. So he's carrying it carefully back to his room, which was really close for him. And he starts walking and he trips on some slippery rocks and he goes flying in front of everybody. And he ends up just crushing the egg in his hand.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So may that egg rest in pieces. It was gone. So it was stuff like that happening constant. So it was fun. You missed the egg thing.
I know. I wish I was there for that.
Yeah.
That would sound so funny.
I've never seen a man recover from a fall so quick as Abe Del Rio, ever. He just like down and he popped right up.
Like one of those inflatable punching bags.
Yeah. So, Alex, do you know why leopards cannot hide? I just found this out tonight. Why leopards cannot hide?
Why can't they hide?
Why can't a leopard hide?
Sounds like a trick question. I don't know.
Because he's always spotted.
I get it.
So what do you know why? Do you know what happens to a frog when he parks his car illegally?
What happens to a frog?
He gets towed away.
Towed, get it?
He gets towed. All right, in the news. So my heart definitely goes out to, we've had like, I don't know how many weeks, 13 days of bad weather all over the country, spring weather, mainly in Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Texas, Michigan. Last night got blasted. Michigan had 20 twisters last night, Alex.
Jeez.
Yep, and that was in Southwest Michigan. So anyhow, my heart goes out to everybody who's had problems with storms or had their house damaged, destroyed. It's bad. So, but today was absolutely beautiful. It was gorgeous here. It was
great. Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. So that's kind of been going on, and hopefully that streak is gone. Did you hear about this? They have discovered a phonic alphabet with blue whales or sperm whales, excuse me.
Like an actual language.
Yeah, it was in the news. Yep.
So can they understand what they're saying to each other?
Well, that's obviously the goal, and I think they're using artificial intelligence. Could you imagine if in our lifetime they start decoding animal language like whales and dolphins? Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah.
So you could actually, we could get a blue whale or a sperm whale on our podcast and interview him. Or would it be fun. Like Dory? And what was that? Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo.
Yeah. Where you can maybe just put a machine, hook it up to your ear, and you can translates animals like they do languages. That may not be too far off in our future without AI.
Yeah.
It may not.
I look forward to interviewing them.
So let me just read a little bit of this. It says the various species of whales inhabiting Earth's ocean employ different types of vocalizations to communicate. Sperm whales, the largest of the toothed whales, right, with teeth, communicate using bursts of clicking noises called, do you know what they're called? These clicking noises.
What are the clicking noises called?
Yeah, do you know what they're called when a whale makes a clicking noise?
No.
It's called a coda.
Oh.
Obviously short for code, right?
Yeah.
So it's a coda. Hold on here, I'm gonna kind of reconfigure. So and it's kind of like Morse code. So they have this new analysis from years of studying vocalizations of sperm whales in the Eastern Caribbean. And they have found that they have a system of communication that's far more sophisticated than they ever thought, right? They claim it has a complex internal structure replete with a phonic alphabet, period.
Wow.
And I don't need to get into more details. It's just kind of like they don't know what they're saying. They know they're talking to family. They're telling them where food is, those kinds of things, where they're located.
Mhm.
But I'd stay tuned. I don't think it's going to be too long. I really don't. I think maybe a year or two, we're going to have some kind of clue what these big giant mammals, underwater mammals, are saying and communicating to each other. So what do you think they're saying, Alex?
Free me. Help me.
Free me. How can that be? You're free when you're in the ocean.
Yeah. Well,
They're not studying them in zoos, Alex. They're in the wild.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Feed me. How about that?
Feed me? They got so much food in the ocean. It's unbelievable. They probably complain about taxes and weather and no. I would imagine they talk about the weather, ocean weather.
A lot.
Yeah. There's got to be like weird ocean weather they encounter that they don't like. There has to be.
Yeah. They probably complain about plastic.
Yeah, maybe that. There you go. That's true. That is kind of a problem. But I guess they even organize like babysitting and things with their language. They arrange for babysitters.
Oh, that's cute.
Foraging, defense.
That's really cute.
And apparently it's a big rhythm and a tempo of these clicks. So, speaking of oceans, have you heard of the warfare sea drones?
No.
Apparently, I don't know if it's true, but the U.S. is apparently floundering. Nice play on words, right? Behind other countries in sea drone warfare. That sounds kind of scary to me. Sea drones.
Yeah.
Unmanned things. So wouldn't a giant aircraft carrier could become basically useless very quickly? Because we're not talking a torpedo. We're talking about something that could be flown maybe thousands of miles.
Oh, yeah. That's troubling.
So watch out for sea drones. It's the stuff of nightmares, right?
Sounds like it.
Okay. And then we're going to go out into space. Apparently the rover, speaking of tornadoes, the rover has captured a Martian tornado. They call them dust devils because they do. It's no difference. But did you ever get video clip one?
I'm sorry. I just didn't see anything in the email with that.
Oh, I gave you the link. That's okay. People can look it up. Look it up. NASA has released a really cool tornado on Mars.
So it's on Mars. That's an incredible find. Yeah, you guys need to look that up.
Yeah. So I just think it's cool. I think they've recorded other ones before, but this is a big one. So it's probably climate change.
Climate change there.
Yeah. That was a joke, Alex.
I'm just so thick-headed.
There is a warning also in the news. There was a warning to dog and pet owners regarding the Appalachian Trail. Throw up photo 2. Somebody apparently, this happened last weekend, is stuffing dog treats with fish hooks.
That is so messed up.
So if you're walking your dog and you live out there out east, be really careful. All right, that's enough of that.
Who would do such a thing?
Yeah, and this is happening near Washington Township, right? All right, take it off. And then we have a couple of untold cuteness videos. A few, maybe 3.
Can I smash the bumper?
You can smash the untold cuteness bumper, Alex. With a bumper like that, we don't need to do any clips. All right. Clip 1, cute clip 1. Apparently, cuteness doesn't always just come in small sizes. This is a very big size, but it's pretty damn cute. Go ahead and play it. Sound is good.
This is what I'm saying. We're walking home now. And He's like, no, I'm coming. You can't come with us, Neil. Buddy, I know you're lonely here, but you just can't come, bud. I'd love to take you home.
Oh, that's great.
It's cute.
That's
It is
adorable.
cool. It is cool. Just the look on that seal's face. It's pretty funny. Cute number 2. Cute clip number 2. No sound on this one. But this dude is so spoiled. This is really cute. Go ahead. Does anything get any cuter than that, Alex?
No. That is the cutest.
This lucky little burro donkey. I don't know what he is. Miniature donkey, miniature burro. But damn, he's getting a lot of love there. Okay. Cute clip number 3. And this is what happens when the grass is just a little too tall. Just a little too tall on the grass. You can play the sound. I'll watch this last guy. Poor guy. The grass is too tall. He can't go quite quick enough. Baby pigs are so darn cute.
They are.
All right. Cute clip number 4. No sound. I just wanted to show you this dude's pearly whites. Because hippos, when they get old, their teeth turn quite yellow. But this guy's still got beautiful white teeth. Go ahead and play it. No sound. Look at this cute thing. Look at those pearlies.
Those are white.
Yeah. Well, you can see even as an infant, they're like one of the, if not the most dangerous animal in Africa.
Oh, yeah. You wouldn't want to jump in his mouth.
No, you would not. Okay, it's enough of that crap. Let's move on to trivia. I would like to shine some light on some facts.
All right. Can I hit the bumper?
Sure, go ahead. Hit the bumper. There you go. So what do you think I'm doing it on? Flashlights.
Light.
No, flashlights.
Flashlights.
Yeah.
A kind of light.
So I was going to offer a secret tip on flashlights too. You know, they have like these you can get really expensive flashlights.
Yeah.
And they're really cool. I guarantee you're going to lose it.
Probably.
You're going to misplace it. You're going to lose it. So what I do, I buy like a whole box of them. And the ones that come with batteries, like on Amazon, they're aluminum, they're LED, they're super bright, and they already have batteries on them. And then I can lose them left and right. And then once in a while they come back, I start finding them. I'll be damned if I don't lose every one of them. You get 30 flashlights and you've lost all of them by the end of the summer. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I recommend you buy bulk or buy more. Not once again, don't go for the one that cost you $100. For $100, dang, you can get at least probably 120 flashlights that are really good. All right. Anyhow, so you can leave that picture up. So in the beginning, what do you think they used before flashlights?
Candles.
Yeah. Well, what about
lanterns?
You have candles, lanterns, kerosene, but those things put out smoke.
They do.
And could you imagine the police investigating a crime at night and they got to, hold this lantern up and all that. So you can only imagine how happy, everybody was when they invented the electric flashlight. Does anybody know the year?
1846.
It was David Mussell invented the flashlight. Was it in 1899, 1799, or 1699?
1799.
1799 is Alex's. Anybody else want to beat Alex in that guess? It was 1899.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it was 1899. So these devices are known by two names, right? Here we call them flashlights. What else? What's the other name for them?
Torches.
Yes, a torch. Like in England, they don't say, borrow me your flashlight. They say, let me borrow your torch. So why do you think they call them flashlights here, though?
Because they flash on.
Well, they used them for Morse code messaging.
Oh, so they got to flash them on.
That's why they were developed.
That was
So
the original purpose.
Yeah, so you could do Morse code from a long distance, like the military. So that's how they got the name flashlight.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Because light, as you know, goes a long ways.
It goes forever, right?
All right, so here's a yes or no question. Did they or did they not have flashlights on the Titanic? Yeah. Did they or did they not?
Yes.
Come on.
Yes. They did.
They did?
Yeah.
Well, they did in the movie. So running around in the movie with flashlights, but actually they did not.
They did. Oh no.
There was not one flashlight on the Titanic.
Was it all lanterns then?
Yeah, it was all lanterns. Yeah.
Oh, no wonder they hit that iceberg.
So we'll go watch the movie again, everybody, and see what they have, flashlights or lanterns.
Come on, James Cameron.
Yeah, get your act together, dude. I couldn't have got away with that when I was working for the History Channel, man. If I had to do a reenactment a certain year, I had to have the right kind of wool, and it had to be. Oh no, that's not. They didn't have that type of wool in that exact year, Very History Channel is very particular on reenactments. Okay, do flashlights use convex lenses or concave lenses?
Concave.
Once again, Alex is batting 100% and being wrong tonight. They were convex lenses.
Oh no!
All right, Alex. Here's the grand finale that I'm done with flashlight trivia. Boring is probably boring for most people. There are three kinds of flashlights you can buy that produce three different distinct visual types of light. Can you name those three types of light?
Three types of light.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's the strobe.
There you go with that strobe again. No, three types of light.
Okay.
Not strobe is not a type of light.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God, that was funny. The strobe.
So
you did that in another show. You said something about strobing.
Strobing?
Yeah, strobing. What's go ahead and name three types.
There's the red light, the blue light, and the green light.
White light, just regular light, white light. Yeah. UV light and IR light.
Oh, IR. Okay, yeah, IR.
You can buy all three of those now. Okay.
You can get them all in one.
All in one. What time is it?
Oh, don't, Eric, come on.
Oh God. Nice, Eric.
I'm not even gonna say it.
Shame. The shame.
It's a kind of light.
The shame in the Untold Radio chat room. Okay. Untold clips. Let's just whip through. I only have 5, and then we're gonna bring Robert. Is Robert available?
Yeah. I'm gonna get him on as soon as we're done with this.
Oh, okay, great.
So he'll be audio only tonight.
Oh, that's fine. Whatever.
Because he's way out there.
Yeah. All right.
Untold
clips.
Can I wait? Can I do the bumper?
Oh yeah. Alex wants to play his bumper. Go ahead.
All right.
All right. So clip 1. I'm practicing. You're going to be on. Clip 1. No sound. Each ball in this clip is traveling in a perfect straight line. This is really kind of amazing. So instead of looking at all of the balls, study one ball. Follow one ball.
That is wild.
Each ball is moving in a perfectly straight line.
That's so cool to see.
That is cool, isn't it?
Yeah, I've never seen that optical illusion before.
All right, clip 2. Sound is good. And you're never going to see, I normally don't do, dumb human people tricks. But this one's pretty crazy. The sound is good. I've never seen somebody that's double jointed. Go ahead and play this whole clip. Sounds good.
Show me your completely useless secret talent. I'll go first.
Her hand is backwards.
God,
could you imagine, curving your fingers that much backwards?
That looks painful.
Oh, actually, it doesn't look painful, but you can do it so much you can grip a bottle.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that at the zoo.
Enough of that. Clip 3, sound is good. I used to do this with you when you were a kid up in Forest Lake because we had cattails, because just gazillions of them up there. But this is why there are so many cattails. Go ahead and play clip 3. Sounds good. Watch.
Whoa, just turned into cotton candy.
If you haven't done this when you're a kid, you missed out, because we used to do this. We used to actually never mind. Okay, clip 4. Clip 4. Sound is good. These are really strange scud clouds. I call them scud. And actually yesterday I saw clouds similar to this. Yesterday. Go ahead and play this. Sounds good. And it's all just a matter of the lighting, the way the light is coming in. But isn't it creepy looking?
Yeah. It's so weird looking.
NASA have just made contact with
All
the
right, that's
aliens.
good. Yeah. That gets into a whole nother realm I don't want to get into. Okay, clip 5. This one I think will give everybody chills. I'm not joking. This is to be taken serious. Clip 5 is just really sound. So obviously the sound is good, and you just think, no, you're wrecking it. Get it out of there. Oh my goodness. So this is just a recording of crickets, but recorded at a pitch where what really brings out a frequency, and there may be sound experts in here, maybe David Ellis can figure this out a little bit more, but it basically sounds angelic, like singing. Go ahead and play it, and then we can talk about it. Go ahead. These are crickets, people. Started. Oh, there it is.
Wow.
It's like an angelic chorus, isn't it?
It is.
Go ahead and do it. I like the first part of it. Turn it over. Has anybody ever heard this before in chat or comments? I'd love to hear comments on this. All right, it's enough of that. But it shows you we really don't know that much about nature.
We don't. It looks like we might have one bonus clip.
I do. Why does lightning often hit volcanoes when they're erupting? They often do. It's a real thing. It's a real phenomena. Erupting volcanoes will get hit by lightning a lot. Plus, they also attract UFOs. That's pretty much kind of a known thing now. So go ahead and play this. The sound is good.
That is wild.
Maybe Robert might even have he might know about this.
That is crazy.
Yeah. And then we have tech breakdown. When do you want to do that? Do you want to do it now? Get out of the way.
Yeah, we could do it now.
It's not real long today.
Okay.
It's real long.
Okay, cool. And then we'll get Robert on.
Okay. So
bumper
yeah,
time?
get out of the way. Go ahead, do your bumper. Jesus. Alex and his bumpers. So last week we discussed why, more. I mean, I'm not talking junk, recorders, but to get one like a moderate price Zoom, instead of spending $300 on a Zoom, get the $100 one. Get 3 of them. You're going to be much better off being able to triangulate sounds, have a better chance of getting sounds the more recorders you have. Well, then something came up yesterday, or it might have been yesterday, maybe the day before. But somebody asked about, do they have that thing that sound will trigger the recording? And basically I told them that that's not the way to go, because you'll end up missing the first part of your recording. And it could be really critical. So, plus subtle sounds won't trigger it. The time delay, you'll miss important data. And then the pitch changes for a second. It speeds up right when it triggers. So you've got a pitch change, which could give us false data on a Bigfoot recording. Okay. So don't recommend it. Well, then the next problem is, how do you go through 12 hours of footage? Or not footage, but audio, MP3s off the memory card. How do you go through it? Well, that's what this week's tech breakdown is about. So, secret, get free Audacity software. You can throw up Photo 9, Alex. It's free. They've had many versions of it. You may already own one, maybe. You've already downloaded one. But anything from 2.0.6, version 2.0.6, will do what I'm about to tell you it'll do. And I'm sure each version, it does it even better. So the newest version is version 3.5. Okay, that's the newest. So what you do is upload your audio by, uploading it to your computer, dragging it onto the timeline in Audacity. And then there's a setting called dead air or silent gaps, right? And you set the threshold for whatever dB you want. And I don't recommend you go, too low on that. You don't want to miss anything in the far distance. But you set it and it'll pick up and do a compilation. So basically it'll grab all the cool stuff. Let's say it's a wood knock. It'll grab that one wood knock. And it allows you to pick what kind of bookends you want, so you don't miss anything. So then it'll create a big compilation, okay? And there's plenty of tutorials on this, on YouTube, on the internet, on forums. But so now Audacity is the way to go. I'm sure, it'll be a little maybe cumbersome to use the first time. But once you get used to it, you'll have no problem. You might really enjoy the editing process. And then next week, just before I forget, we're going to talk about how to visually see the highlights of a 12-hour tape. So because you can do it that way too, visually. But that's next week. So the next software you can get is called Capwing Smart Cut. Put up Photo 10. It's called Smart Cut, but Capwing makes it. Photo 10. Here's an example of the red are the highlighted clips that grab. The white are the ones you're going to it's going to say, do you want to delete the silent parts? And you're just going to go, yep. And now it's going to create a nice compilation. So you're not going to put your friends to sleep as you play this Bigfoot audio, right?
Right.
Just like when Blaine went to the BWCA, Adam Cole took and used another software, but we're going to get into that last one too, because it's not free, the last one, but created a compilation. So then you can listen to it without, waiting for stuff. All right. So that's Smart Cut. And that's part of Capwing's audio suite. And this uses AI editing tools. Okay.
Awesome.
So it's called the Auto Video Editor. And this apparently is really quick. I have not used Capwing, but apparently it's really quick. That's built right into their full suite editor.
Very cool.
It says it will remove all the silences with just a single click, which is really cool. And then there is the paid type. So go ahead and throw up photo 11. And the type Adam Cole uses, is RX10. Okay. Advanced. This one happens to be on sale. I don't own it. I'm not getting any money for it. But $799 now, $799.
Whoa.
14, I believe, 100 for his software.
I imagine it's pretty impressive, though.
Yeah, right. But, I recommend you get the free one. You can always upgrade to something like this if you really end up having, you really enjoy doing this as like a hobby almost. But today it's $400 off. So $799 today. And then you'll get the free RX11 too. They're upgrading, I think, May 14th. 7 more days. Okay. Nice. But I do think Adam and David, I consulted with both of them. Adam Colt, I always want to say Adam Davis. Adam Colt and David Ellis. So thanks. Very cool. David will probably come on next Tech Breakdown, right? Yeah. And that's it. It's all simple. All right. Robert Leiterman. He was a former park ranger in California. As I mentioned, I met him 24 years ago. I doubt he remembers me, but his unique experiences and have inspired him, I guess, to share the richness of the North Coast, California, and so on. And I know he likes to educate. That I do know. And educate, in kind of an entertainment way. I've heard a lot of great things about Robert through the years. I can't believe we haven't had him on yet. He's written many, many, many books. I think it's over 10. Can't hear you, Alex.
Yeah, I know. I'm just getting Robert on.
Oh, fine.
Talking to him.
Anyhow, I didn't know if I was off. But anyhow, his newest book, The Bluff Creek Project, is his latest work, I believe. Let's get him on.
Robert, can you say hello?
Yeah. Hello. Can you hear me okay?
Can you hear him, Doug?
Hello.
Barely. Let's let chat decide.
You want to say hello again?
Hello again.
Hi, Robert. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm on my porch. I've got ears on, so I can hear everything you guys are saying. I have my phone speaker towards my face, so
yeah, if you could move whatever speaker or mic or whatever closer, would be good.
And also,
say again.
I text you a picture of me sitting in my chair.
Oh yeah, I got that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, throw that up. Let's see, Robert. I don't know what Alex is doing. He's examining something.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you pretty loud, but Doug, I'm having trouble hearing you. You sound like you're far away from the mic.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm right here. Well, what are we gonna do, Alex? What do you want to do?
Let's just keep moving forward, guys. I'm tweaking everything as we go.
Oh, okay. Alex is tweaking. We'll get you. So, Robert, do you remember meeting me 24 years ago?
I might have.
We were filming. I was up there with Matt Moneymaker, and I think I was with Bobo.
Okay. Because I think you were trying to get me to speak for some program, but the state of California wanted way too much money, and you said, forget it.
Oh, yeah, that's it. You do remember. That's why we didn't interview you, because they wanted us to pay them. So
Yeah, we could have still pulled that off.
Yeah. Well, anyhow, when did you retire?
I retired October 30th of 2014. But then after about a year, I went back to work for a couple of years. So then I was too expensive for them. So they said, thank you for service. And then I went over and just kept volunteering for them. And when I retired, I came back to work. I did the same job for less money, but I could pick my hours, and I couldn't go over like 20 hours a week, which is fine with me. So,
well, I was real excited, when Matt Moneymaker told me that you were kind of into the Bigfoot mystery, that you knew a lot, but do you want to explain to our audience how you got involved, even in thinking about Bigfoot?
Sure. Yeah, I blame it all on John Freitas.
Oh yeah, John.
Yeah, there was a alleged sighting at Humboldt Red State Park. And 2 years before that, I was putting together an interpretive program to give to the public about like a campfire setup that you could sit there and tell stories, and you got campers by a fire. So evening presentation, we do that during the summertime. And so I was doing that up before I met John Freitas. But meeting John Freitas was kind of interesting because he showed up at Labor Day weekend. And if you think about it, there's 3 busy times a year at parks. There's Memorial Day weekend, there's 4th of July, and then there's Labor Day weekend.
Yep.
And it happened to be during that window period, he had showed up with some of the BFRO members, and they showed up because they were reporting a sighting in August. I think it was like August 23rd. I'm just going by memory, but August 23rd of 1999. And so they pretty much showed up for that. And then they went up and they did an investigation on the hillside. And then they put some stuff up on the BFRO. I think it wasn't the BFRO YouTube channel, but they put some stuff up. And that's how I got to see them and kind of read what they were doing. But it was Freitas who came into the office, and he wanted to talk to the ranger on duty so he can let us know what they were doing. But they kind of already did the investigation. They just wanted to broadcast loud sounds. But so the staff had me come take the call because I was doing Bigfoot stuff. And so I got to meet John Freitas, very respectful.
And John, okay, well, let me interrupt you for a second, Robert.
Yeah.
John was probably one of the first, if not the first, to do call blasting.
That's right. That was his big thing. It was Operation Blue something.
Yep. So anyhow, so that gives you a little, it gives everybody a little historical background on John. And I do know John. I got to get John on one of these times. But anyhow, so go ahead. So he comes into your office.
John was my corridor into the BFRO. So I met John. I liked John. He told me what he was doing. He wanted to broadcast some sounds. And he had his pickup truck. But on the back of his pickup truck, he had this big old ship speaker. And he wanted to broadcast these calls in the park. Well, you're talking about a busy holiday weekend with a lot of visitors. Probably not the best formula for it. So I encouraged him to kind of go elsewhere. And he did. And it was very respectful. And then later on, later on, I was able to read about what they did. And then I read about their investigation. So I went up in September to pretty much do my own investigation. I grabbed one of my park aides with me since she was a tracker. She went to the Jim Brown, I think it's John, School of Tracking in the New Jersey Pine Barrens. So she was a certified tracker. And she went with me, and we went up and investigated. But she didn't want, and we found it based on a photograph, which is fine, because if you know your terrain in your park, then you can find just about anything. but it was based on the photographs of stumps and the open area and along a trail called the River Trail. So we found it, went up the slope, checking it out. And instead of a stump, I mean, there was a stump there, and it was burned over, an old redwood stump that was burned over, but moss and lichen was growing on it. But you could scratch on that stump, and it would take off the lichen. But there was no rub marks on that stump. If anything rubbed against it, it would have taken it off. So going back to the report, was a father and son walking the river trail. Son's shoe came untied. Dad says, tie your shoe. So dad's waiting for the son to tie his shoe, and he looks up the hillside, and he sees what looked like a naked individual, hairy individual, from waist up, was naked, and it was walking back and forth through the view shed, which is through gaps in the trees up the hillside. And then he said he watched it stop, rub its back on what he believed was a stump. And then at that point, he says, let's go. So, and we're still talking maybe 100 yards plus up a hillside. So it's a distance away. But that was his report. And so he went back, reported it, asked some questions, and eventually got to the BFRO. And the BFRO took the report. And then John Freitas went out with a few other BFRO members to go follow up. And that was in September, Labor Day weekend. That's when I met John Freitas. But that's kind of a ballpark. So my investigation of that was more out of curiosity, because I was giving presentations, but not really taking the red pill, so to speak.
Let me interrupt you, Robert. I got to interrupt you. Do you think, one of the first park rangers in the country, because you're a government employee, to discuss Bigfoot openly?
I would not say I'm the first one to do that. I say as a state park ranger, I was doing it. Supervision wasn't too excited about it, but the public enjoyed the presentations. And when I gave my presentation, I was non-committal. I just provide information and add some entertainment and try to be funny. And people enjoyed the presentation, and that was okay. If I were to make an opinion on the subject, then wearing a uniform, I represent the government. Therefore, it becomes the government's opinion. Even though it's not, I'm saying it myself, and I can say it's only my opinion. But when you're wearing a uniform, people don't listen very often or don't like to read signs. So they just assume that, and it could go bad press for the agencies. So the agency's really hesitant. But I will jump ahead and tell a little story, because I don't know if you remember the program called Real Scary Stories. They would take a bunch of kids out and try to scare them. But they were talking about Bigfoot, and they wanted a ranger to speak. So let's go. So I'm going to go back 9 months. So going back in 9 months, when I'm talking to Freitas, I go investigate. I do a write-up of what I saw. And the write-up basically was, I found a cigarette butt, and I found a camera strap, so I confirmed the location. And in the write-up, I just talked about what the facts were. And it wasn't an individual rubbing their back against a stump as reported, because there was no evidence of that. But there was a grove of 3 trees just off to the left that had, one of them in particular, they're probably a foot in diameter. One of them in particular had the bark pressed down. And as redwood trees go, the young ones have real soft bark. And so it was pressed down as though something had rubbed against it, about a foot off the ground to about 6 foot up.
Okay.
Which would confirm something rubbing themselves against an object, but it wasn't the stump, it was the tree. So writing the report back, that was my way of saying, hey, it wasn't the stump. It was a small grove of trees about 5 or 6 yards away, still within the so-called view shed. Now, I didn't submit it to the department. I sent it over to the BFRO, compliments of Matt Moneymaker, just to let them know. And then I got offered to be a curator for the BFRO off of that. So I was one of the curators with Freitas was at the time. I don't know if I think Bobo was at the time. I can't remember, but anyhow, there's
Yeah.
a few people that were at the time. But that was that situation there. And now when I fast forward, oh yeah, I got to add this in there. Once my supervisor found out that I had written it up, I was called into the office and I was given a letter of cease and desist. No more using state time to look up anything related to Bigfoot. Even though I was doing an interpretive program about Bigfoot that was accepted, that was well attended, I got this letter saying you can't do any of that stuff anymore.
All right, stop right there.
And
Stop right there,
Yeah.
Robert. So that's kind of what I've always talked about, the cover-up. It's not really a cover-up. It's just a throw sand on the topic. You know what I mean? Intimidate people. It's like they want a distance. I mean, do you agree it's not really a formal cover-up? It's just kind of a local grassroots thing. Do you want to just talk about that for just 2 seconds?
yeah, okay, time's up. No, it was. I don't look at it. I don't look at that. Person complains, and a word got back to a supervisor, and supervisor called me in the office to discuss that. And he had the article in his hand when I went in there. Compliments of another ranger I work with, who I think was trying to help, because there was nothing wrong with the article. And so when we got done with our talk, it was still cease and desist, but there was nothing wrong with what was written because I didn't give my opinion. But his big beef was, why are you standing there in your uniform and against standing in front of a tree? And who took that picture? So I had explained it was taken by the parkade I brought up with me, and she didn't want to be in the picture, so I had to be in the picture. But I did say I was wearing my Stetson, because we're supposed to wear Stetsons for photograph opportunities. But I know it sounds really bad when you put it all together, but I still gave my presentations because that cease and desist letter was lifted pretty quick. But the fact that I was given one, makes you think about it. Then you have to go on defense mode, like nothing was done wrong. Okay, you weren't incriminating in the department. You did this, that's fine. But it was just like a knee-jerk reaction to a complaint. And then you get this letter. And then you go see the boss. And the boss talks to you. And then they figure out it's not as bad as they thought. And then it's business as usual. But that moment in time, I fast forward to like about 9 months. The real scary stories were we're looking for a park ranger to interview. And so they had to talk to the producers and come up with questions that I was allowed to answer. Now, I didn't know what those questions were, but supposedly there was a list of questions, and it was given to the producing company. And so I get a state car on state time to drive up in uniform and drive all the way to Crescent City to meet to be interviewed for this. So we've gone from a cease and desist letter to, hey, the state of California has given the blessing for you to drive all the way to Crescent City on state time in your uniforms with a nice clean car and answer questions that are on the list. So for the interviews. Well, when it came down to the interview, I was sitting in the driver's seat of my car. The sun was setting behind me, just off to the side. The golden rays of sunlight was reflecting off the side of the car. It's a white pickup truck, so imagine how pretty that is with the orange sunsets. And it would have been a great, beautiful interview. So as soon as he started asking the questions, none of those questions I was authorized to answer. So I said, I can't answer that. I can't answer that. Finally, I said, I can say this, but I can't answer your questions. I go, didn't they talk to you about what questions to ask? And they said, no, we had no idea. What list are you talking about? Anyhow, so I got scratched, but I got to watch another gentleman, a friend of John Freitas, a guy with shaved head. He's passed away. I can't remember his name, but he had a cast. He had casted, a plaster cast. And in that plaster cast were hair fibers. And so the sun was setting, was reflecting off the white cast. He was talking about, he was being interviewed, and it was a great interview. But he got the glory, I got the cutting room floor. But that was my first big exposure to public relations and everything else. But that's kind of how the initial start got me into the BFRO, and then from that, it's just like I got involved with following up on reports, which can be controversial because people could say whatever they want, and you try to be professional. You investigate the ones you can. I chose to investigate the ones and to follow up the ones locally in places that I used to work or places that I was close I can go investigate. And like the ones in the state parks, I've been to a lot of the parks, so I know exactly what the terrain's like and who's working there and all this other stuff. Anyhow, so it got to a point where it's like questioning my interviewing or whether or not answers to whatever. Anyhow, so I got tired of that. So I switched over to getting involved with the expeditions in 2004, I think it was. I helped organize the first public BFR expedition under Matt Moneymaker's guidance, and we did it in Redwood Country, north of Eureka. And that was a blast. And it was like the first group. We took them out, taught tracking. I had guest speakers come in. I had Kathy Moskowitz. That's her old name. But she was there. I made contacts with her on some of the articles I was writing, and she did evidence. I had the Sierra Sounds guys both up there. It was great. They were talking about the Sierra Sounds, and I'm still skeptical by nature. So I was listening to the recordings, listening to everybody talk about it, and I was like, huh. And they played the Sierra Sounds, and it sounded like the samurai talk and the sounds kind of go.
Yep.
I'm going.
Yep.
I can make those noises. So I was kind of skeptical about it, but I bought a couple of the little CDs and I kept it in my research materials. And it's funny how be careful what you ask for. Another 9 months later, I'm on the side of the hill in Redwood Country, and I'm with Bobo and Mel. She from Yakima, around the hillside. And we had our Shelby Car Club clients where we took them out, gave them a good time, and we had some interesting stuff happen. We had samurai talk with Bobo's group farther up the trail, and when we went to go follow up, we heard owls. And then the following day, we found 3 different sizes of foot impressions in the boggy section there.
Wow!
And which was kind of interesting. And at the last day, where you say goodbye to your guests, your clients, and we're in the same area. I'm going to go in with Matt, and Bobo and Mel have already gone in, and they're on the side of the hill. I'm supposed to join them, but it's getting dark, and I was supposed to go in with Matt. But just as we're getting ready to get started, Matt decides he's going to go to something totally different. So he's going with another gentleman, go drive down towards Gold Bluff Beach. So it looks like I'm on my own. So I go to start to go in, and I hear something huge crashing through the brush towards like 30 yards in, right? And I'm like, I'm going to be by myself. There's something crashing through the brush. It's pretty intimidating. But we do have elk up there, so who knows what that was. So I go up, and I use my flashlight intermittently, just shine the beam and for a few seconds, and then walk up the trail to where you last do it again. We got to that one section about 3/4 mile away in. I had marked the trail so I could get up to meet up with Bobo and Mel. But the problem was I used flags that were color flags. And if you're not using lights, you're not going to see the color flags. And we're trying to use the kind of a Gen 1.5 night vision stuff. Not very good. And it was pretty exciting, I tell you that. But I had to turn my flashlight on to get up there. So I finally joined the guys, and you can imagine your sport team at the gate has left you. You're trying to get 3/4 mile in, and you know for a fact that a few days before that you found tracks, and people talked about the samurai talk. You're like, holy crap. And you're like, I don't know about this. And so now you're by yourself, and you're making your way up the trail. And you get to a point where you finally get to meet the group. You're excited. And so you're sitting on the hillside. It's dark now. It's late at night. And Bobo is cooking bacon. So please forgive me, Bobo, if this is a top secret method of yours. But it was pretty effective. And I also get a snack afterwards. So we cook bacon, ate bacon, cook bacon, ate bacon. Then we get some in the mail. Then we cook more bacon, eat the bacon. And it was a great night.
Sounds like my kind of night. I'd love to be there eating bacon all night. Yeah.
Sorry?
I said I'd love to eat bacon all night.
Oh, yeah. I mean, somebody's got to do it, right? So we're sitting at the top. It's been a long week, a few days, actually, about 3 or 4 days with the Shelby Car Club group. And we're sitting there, and Bobo and I kind of back to back. But if you can imagine, I'm like 5'7" and a good day 5'8", and Bobo's like 6 something. So we're sitting back to back, trying to stay awake, and we're kind of dozing off. And I hear what sounds so clearly like samurai talk. It's and I'm like, what is that? Fast forward backwards 9 months, and I'm kind of making fun of that in my head, right? At the expedition. Because the Sierra Sound guys have this recording. Fast forward back into the future, I'm sitting there with Bobo, and I hear samurai talk coming from down the hillside. Just, you can't see it, but you can point your finger where the sound's coming from. And if you were to take those sounds and turn them into words, I would have to say, it says, can we go up there now? Can we go up there? No. That would be my interpretation of what it sounded like. Of course, I don't speak Japanese. I can count to 10. I know martial art techniques in it, but that's about it. So that was my first exposure to samurai talk. And I know that's a rare thing. A lot of people don't get to have the privilege to experience. But it didn't sound like spotted owls. Not spotted owls, barred owls arguing. It didn't sound like anything else but conversation of people talking. And I don't know if that was the first time Bobo heard that. Because I looked at him and I mouthed the words, what was that? And his answer was, I don't know. And that's not very comforting. Bobo's the Bigfoot expert, and you look over and say, what is that? You expect him to have like a scientific explanation for it. And I have no idea. You're like, correct. So we heard nothing else. And eventually we kind of fell asleep, but we did hear something moving around our location later on that night, but we never saw anything. So that was my first exposure to samurai talk. And I was out with Bobo because we were pretty much friends at that time, working with Moneymaker and the BFRO, just kicking into the expeditions. So going back to the expedition, so I found my niche. It was assist on expeditions on the Western Coast area as much as you can, because they're kind of cool. And I enjoy sharing what I knew with people and going out and assisting other group leaders for the expeditions to different places. So 23 expeditions later, I kind of got out of that and I got into videography. So now my big deal was, instead of just filming on the expeditions, looking for maybe we can catch a Sasquatch on film. In 2009, I thought it'd be a great idea if we actually filmed the people doing all this stuff. So I started doing that. And I was like a paparazzi. Except when I was done, I would give all the footage back, which is a mistake because you never see it again. All the equipment goes to the next expedition, delete, clear it off the slate because they're internal hard drives for the cameras. And you never see it again, which I kind of regret that. But anyhow, that got me started with that. And then by the grace of Matt Moneymaker and Wally Hersham, I was given the same kind of camera, the RC100 camera, a Gen 3 night vision scope that attached the camera. And I was like a kid in a candy shop. It's like, oh, and now I get to go out and try to capture stuff. So for the next couple of years, I put out over 100 something videos and upload them to the BFRO YouTube channel and of interviews and expeditions and investigations. And that was my thing I love to do. And then I kind of got into, ran into Steven Strifford and Ian Carton, and we got involved with the trying to find the PG film site. I got involved with those guys. I guess I first met Steven in probably 2007. I think it was during I must say during the 40th. And I got to meet Stephen, and we kind of did a presentation. We didn't do a presentation. We attended the presentation, and I got to meet. Well, actually, I knew Perez before that, but I saw his presentation in a suit and tie. And then afterwards, we went to Laos Camp, and then I got to talk to Stephen around the fire. So kicking back around the fire where everybody else was asleep. And we had great conversations. So one of the things Stephen was working on was trying to figure out where the film site was. And that's when I learned about, in 2003, people had no clue. Some people did, some people did not. And so there I am in 2010, showing up at Stephen's place to start my videography documentation of two guys looking for the alleged PT film site. And within a couple of days, I ended up eating the red pill, I guess. And then I become member number 3. And then now it was a project that we all worked on for a couple of years. And we had Brady Kelly join us. We had Jamie Wayne join us. We had, let me make sure I get everybody's name in here. Anyhow, so the Bluff Creek Project guys, there's probably 8 of us now. But we kind of grew into a group, and that's kind of the original start of that. So after we figured out where the film site was, and I'm not going to say we found the film site, I'm going to say that we proved where the film site was located. Because when Stephen originally put out calls to different people about where the film site might have been or any ideas, Cliff Brackman was the only person who put the orange dot on the map and send it back. Everybody else didn't produce that. Because we had like 5 major film site potential locations to investigate. There were a lot more, but we threw those out pretty quick. So we ended up with 5. And one of them was downstream, would be the MK Davis location. And moving upstream, where the old road used to come down, where people used to park their cars near the corral, there was the Peter Byrne location. And then you go farther upstream, so you end up at the Christopher Murphy location, because he puts it on his books in his map. He had little dots on his book where it was supposed to be. People told him that was where it was, so that's why he felt that's where it was. And then you go farther upstream again, and you have what we call the Daniel Perez site, because he's been quoted. I forget the exact quote that Ian says, but Ian ran into him down there looking for the film site. So we declared that the Perez area for the film site. And then, of course, the last one was the Brackman site. And that was where Cliff had put the orange dot on the map. And so we had the 5 sections we were looking for, and we spent about 2 years investigating it, grid searching, trying to identify stumps. But the strange thing is when you get down there, you could see why people have trouble locating it or confirming it, because it was all overgrown. And that was part of the journey, was to not to clear cut, but just to cut little tunnels through it so we can dig survey marks, north, south, east, west, put them into 30-foot squares or grids, hand draw in the artifacts, which are stumps, logs, trees, whatever, and then draw them into the map. And then compare that with the Hendon 1971 oil review shot. And that's when we decided that that's the place. We had plenty of evidence or artifacts to confirm matching locations, which is all we needed in the first place. We didn't have to grid it out and use survey teams. And people ask us, well, you're going to bring a surveyor down there? I go, well, they need a benchmark to start with. Good luck finding that. I go, no, we just need to be as close as just a ballpark and match stumps. And which, like in the book, we talk about it, you can match the smiley face stump. You can match the leaning stump. You can match the big stump. You can match the big tree, the middle tree, the maple tree, the spiky snag, the Lauren Hardy tree off the far side. You can find the Hendon's X. You can find the bowling alley. There's even a large stump that had been cut a long time ago downstreams from Hendon's X, where I believe is where the first encounter took place, where Roger and Bob were spooked Patty at that one position. When Bob Titmus draws this map, it's not as accurate as the actual film site location. And I think that's part of the reason people are getting a little confused. There's a gentleman named Henry who drew a better map when he went down there in, I think, Daniel Perez asked him to draw a map, and he did it, I want to say 2004, a few years after his encounter. And that was the most accurate to what it really is. And there's a picture of that in the book as well. And so
are you 100% sure that you have located the film site, Robert?
I'm sorry, say that again, please.
Are you 100% that you've located the correct film site?
Here, let me answer it this way. There are photographs like 352 that has different trees lined up through the corridor of frame 352. You can go there today and match the smiley stump, the leaning stump, the big stump. You can go there today and see the big tree in the background. Hendon's 1971 overview, right behind the big tree, there's a leaning fir. You can see it in the overview shot. That's still there today. So yes, we are 100% sure, despite what Peter, I'm not gonna mention any names, but the gentleman whose film site is the farthest one at the bottom, who doesn't agree that we have the actual film site, when we have people like Bobo confirming it, Cliff confirming it, even Bob Gimlin confirming it now. So yes, I'm 100% sure that is the place. Because if you could match artifacts from photographs, and then look at the old distance drawings and line those up in the view shed that Hendon and Green also did. They did some measurements from where they felt Roger's frame 352 position when he was standing there filming or kneeling while he was filming. And they have some measurements. I mean, those are so close. I mean, there's anybody who says that's not the film site needs to come visit it and be ready.
So somebody had mentioned, Robert, there was a wildfire that went through there. Has any damage been done to the film site from fires?
Oh, was your question about fires?
Yes. Has there been any fire damage to the film site?
The fires we had last summer were mild fires. They did not burn the film site. They burned brush on the way there on the hillsides, we love fires that are slow burning and not very hot, because the idea is it clears out the brush in the below the trees, which opens up for grass, it puts nutrients back in. It's when the fires get hot and they burn up the trees and they crown out and they kill the trees, that's not good. But the fires in the general area of the film site, they're on the hillsides away from it. They did not touch it at all. And even a few years ago, we had a big fire that burned hotter farther to the northwest. That burned pretty hot in some areas, but it was away from the film site. Now, if you go down the Go Road heading north, it burned hot in a couple places out that way, but it did not burn hot on the way to Twin Lakes. It's still not bad. A place called Onion Lake, there's fires around there. I haven't seen it yet because they closed the area down for 9 months, and they'll open it back up again in June, where we can gain access again. But the fires did not damage the film site area.
Do you want to explain to our audience, Robert, why is it important that we know where the film site is? What's so damn important about it? Can you explain that?
Sure. Many years ago, it's like an old story. Many years ago, back in 2007, I can care less where the film site was. It wasn't until 2010 that I thought, well, I guess I'll do the interviews, because I didn't think it was that important to show up at the film site every year on October, and just show up there and just to be there because Patty was there. I thought, I'm not a zealot, but I guess I am now. But it's just like, But the important thing it's like, let's say you don't believe in Bigfoot at all, and you think the Patterson film was all a bunch of BS, right? You think it was Hieronymus was in a suit and it's all faked out, and that is all made up. Well, where did they film this? That's the good question to ask. You know, some of the stories said it was in Yakima, and there's no doubt there was filming in Yakima, but that film site, that film, at 50, let's say that 59 and a half seconds of footage, you know, on that roll section, you know, it's just like that was filmed there. And what that tells everybody is that there is a location where a film actually took place. It wasn't in Yakima. It was in Bluff Creek drainage. It was at the bottom of 12 and 13H, another half-mile walk upstream. That is the location. So if that location, if you base, let's say they base the Patterson film as that's the golden grail, right? That's your best evidence. This is what we have. I'm not saying it is, but let's say it is, right? And if you can disprove this best evidence, then you can prove the whole Bigfoot phenomenon is BS. Well, this archive, this film, holds a lot of weight. And it's got a lot of people believing and following up on the whole process of the phenomenon. And can you imagine if it was faked? What would happen to the whole phenomenon? Would people still believe, or would they decide that, well, that was fake, but the rest of it's real? So that footage is so important to the whole phenomenon. And the part that I have to say is that if I did not believe in Bigfoot at all, the film exists. Something was filmed. The location, we can stand on that location. We could be within 5 feet of where Patty walks. We could see the leaning tree. We could see the smiley face stump. You can see the big tree in the background. I mean, that is a location you can go to, you can touch. And if you want to, you can roll in the sand there too. That's the place. And it's just like, that exists. So if somebody was making up the film, that was actually filmed. That location was filmed there. Now comes the question, is Patty real or not? You know, how big was she really? And some of the investigations that Roddy Kelly and Daniel Perez were with us too, and Dustin Sievers was with us, you know, pretty recently on that, is how big was Patty? You know, so we're thinking that maybe, I should say, I'm thinking that Patty is barely around 6 foot, not as tall as one thinks. It's 7 foot. I don't think so. And so the debate goes on. How do you prove it if you don't know exactly where Patty was? Because they didn't mark her position. They guessed the trackway. They marked where Roger was filming and the trees in the background because they're doing follow-up investigations. But I think the film site is very crucial to a lot of the belief systems or, you know, people excited about the subject matter. And
how big do you think Patty was, Robert? And what do you think she weighed on weight? Just guessing. What's your best guess?
I don't know. I wasn't there to weigh her. But I would say this. I think Roger nailed it pretty close to what he thought. And I can't remember off the top of my head, but he is a professional person who can estimate size and weights. And he gave a weight. I'd have to look it up to be exactly what that was, but he's probably right about the size by what he said. And if black bears could be 400 pounds. And males. The females could be 200 pounds. Females could be a lot less than the males. They're sexually dimorphism, which means the males are larger than females. And if Patty was a female, she'd be a lot smaller and weigh less than a so-called male Sasquatch. So the weight would be probably about 2/3 of what the males would be. Did that help, or I just sweep around it?
Yeah, that was a political answer. How about, do you think she was over 500?
He or she?
She. Do you think Patty was over 500 pounds?
I don't know. I'd say if the estimate that Roger gave, he might have been a little low in his estimation, but I think in terms of a wild animal estimate,
How about this?
that's probably.
How about if you had to take a guess, and if you were within 50 pounds, you'd get $10 million?
Then I'd be a poor man.
Come on.
Come on, Robert, take a guess. How much
Three-
do you think she weighed?
300 pounds, 600, 400.
I'll go with okay. I'll use my lucky 7 number. I'm going to put my 400 on number 7.
700 pounds.
No, 400.
400. Okay.
Yeah, well, that
And I'm
puts her.
probably way off because I haven't given it a lot of seriously thought and looked at the size and estimated your height based on if she's around 6'2" or 6'1", pretty thick, thicker than this. This is where I have to sit back and I got to go over and pull up Kip Morrill. I said, Kip Morrill, I'm visualizing him right now. He's standing there, and I got to call a friend. I got to give a quick call to him and ask him how much he weighs. Because when we did other experiments, like we did thermal investigations with Barcatino, we used Kip as a stand-in, and Kip is 6'3", and we used him when we had this subject walking back and forth through a gap in a tree in the Sierras, and Kip was over 200 pounds at the time. I think he was 230 or something like that, and it was larger than what he was. So if I go back to Patty, and Patty is 6. Let's say Patty is just 6'3". I think she's not as big, but let's say she is. And then she'd have to be well over 350, maybe 450.
So
that's my final offer.
Just to put that in perspective, you know the actor The Rock?
I don't know how much he weighs.
He weighs 260 and he's 6'4".
Okay. And
Well, okay. Well, let me interrupt all you guys.
the tips aren't as big, but yeah, go ahead.
All right. So here, all right. A male gorilla, silverback, stands 5 foot tall, weighs 430 pounds.
Wow. That's so huge.
And that's 5 foot tall.
That's only 5 feet. So she could be 500.
Easily. Yeah. My guess is I was over 600 plus. You know, she's 6'2", 6'3". I'm always thinking 600, 650 based on a gorilla.
Okay, even though the gorilla shape is totally different, but that's other fact. Leg lengths ratios are different. The belly's different.
No, but I look at the thigh thickness. I look at her thighs alone. They're very thick. She's got very broad shoulders. I think there's more weight with a Bigfoot per foot than a male gorilla. So if a male gorilla 5 foot is 430, you can easily, safely add 200 pounds to that. I think very conservatively.
So you already know how much you think she is, and you're just trying to get me to confirm what you said? Is that
No, not at all. That's just my opinion. But I'd love to hear other people's opinions and how they come to that conclusion, because, I mean, there's got to be some math involved, you know, or comparative.
If you know exactly how tall she was, which is some more factors to consider. And again, my opinion is just my opinion. It's my guess. I haven't given it scientific thought on it. So as I said before, I'm going to put my estimate a lot lower than probably what you feel it is. But that's okay.
No, it's good. Even if you add the two together, and maybe the truth is somewhere in between. 400 is out of human range for that type of proportions. It seems to be to me. What do you say, Robert?
400 is a big dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very big dude.
And when you get somebody that weighs 400 pounds, their shape is totally different than the average person.
Exactly. What is the most convincing part of the Patterson-Gimlin footage to you? Because obviously there's that kind of 3-second impression, you know, the first time you saw it. I remember seeing it when I was young, kid, bam, it's just like, boo, that's real. Because I grew up looking at cheesy commercials or cheesy costumes on like Lost in Space and other melodramatic movies. And I looked at Patty and went, whoa, I've never seen anything that real looking.
Yeah. I mean, you think about it during that time period. Bill Munns talks about that in his book. There's in 1967, there's two interesting things going on. One of them was Space Odyssey, and the other one was Planet of the Apes. And those are the two big things you're thinking about. If you remember the scene when they're like throwing the bone in the air and this is monolith, and they're all jumping around and, you know, getting excited. That's quite different than Planet of the Apes when they have these fake rubber shoes and they're all wearing suits and they have their hair, you know, combed back with the plastic on their face. I mean, that was the technology at the time. And you think about it, when I first saw it, I probably saw second gen or third generations. It probably wasn't as clear. But when I look at not the stuff where people are trying to use artificial intelligence to enhance it, I don't know if that's really fair enough for the actual photo, because it's a little bit of a human art going on there with that. But when I watch it, I look at the shadow parts, and you look at the mountain gorilla, and you look at how the shape of the back, you look at the shaded areas, the shadows, and there's a lot of similarities to that. And I look at my mind, when I watch it on one of the clearer shots, my mind sees movement. You know, my mind sees that movement. And whether or not, you know, it's like, not everybody would agree on that movement. But just the way it's walking around and looking, some people say, well, you know, humans can't walk that way, but you can train yourself to do just about anything. And it's exciting to see that. And part of me goes, that's a Bigfoot. And the other part of me goes, we don't know that's a Bigfoot. We got to prove it's Bigfoot. But the part of seeing it and the movement and the way it's going on, I find that pretty exciting. And to me, the most convincing part of that photograph would be just the way the muscles move. You want to say that is. But I don't know if the muscle moving is in my head when I watch it, or if it's actually a good thing looking at the clarity of it. And well, one thing people don't quite understand is they always talk about the blurry Bigfoot pictures, and everybody has a lot of fun laughing at that. If it's blurry, it's got to be a Bigfoot, right? But that whole little, if you look at the original frame, Bigfoot is that little thing in the frame. And in order to get the details, you have to blow it up. And I think that's where we lose some of the integrity of the shot, is when you blow it up. And then you make copies of copies. And then you get the nice blurry show thing on it. And you do a lot of the photography stuff. You probably have it done with investigating that as well, haven't you?
Yeah. Yep. And I worked with Bill Munns originally on the, in his assessment. And, the big confusion thing for Bill is what lens and what film speed. The lens and film speed are two questions. And the other thing with film speed is how tight was the spring wound? Because believe it or not, that spring does affect the film speed and the pitch of that film. So there's a lot of variables, but we kind of know about, we know it's over a foot high, right? We know it. We know it's not. We know it's not 12 feet high. We kind of have a rough, and I don't think the film will ever stop telling us things, and I don't think the film will convince any diehard skeptic ever of its existence. But for those that see the purity of it, that they look at it and they go, that's a real bear, that's a real giraffe, that's a real water buffalo versus a CG or a costume. You can just, you can tell.
One of the projects we were working on, we have been, and we're continuing to work on it, is we figured out approximately based on the measurements where Roger's 352 position was. And so we are also able to take the whole view shed of frame 352 and put lights on. When I say we, we're talking about Rowdy Kelly, Perez was involved with that, and I'm kind of joining them for this. Is we put lights on all the artifacts in 352 view shed, and so you can line them up with the photo. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to line up the exact location where he was standing when he took the photos in the film, when he filmed it. So we actually built a platform at the film site with the recycled wood that was there.
Very
and
cool.
we had Rowdy stand on it to try to duplicate the height. He said if it was on his knee or whether it was, but the upper floodplain of 64 is the plane, and we tried to build the platform to extend that because where Roger was standing, where Roger was standing had washed away by about 8 feet of it. Anywhere from 8 to 5 feet had washed away. So we built the platform so you could stand on it. And then we used a period camera with a similar film, and we had a person where you could see them try to walk the same pattern. So we've been doing experiments on that. And the thing we were trying to get is we're trying to figure out which one of the three lenses it could have been, and that's the other thing. I think Bill Munns talks about it in his book quite a bit. And Rowdy's pretty much, he's not totally convinced, but he's kind of leaning towards the smaller sizes of the lens. Because the formula is, if you know distance and you know the lens, then you can figure out the size. So that's just another one of the missions we're trying to work on in between everything else we're doing.
Yeah.
Is to see if we could take a wild guess. And in the process of doing this, I feel well under 6'7". Some people think it's a lot taller. And it's like when I measured the smiley stump, which is the one, it's in frame 352, Patty's standing right in front of it. And that's that stump. And if you look at it, it looks like a smiley face. So I call it smiley stump. Well, it's about 40 inches tall and 20 inches wide today. Well, a lot of it's eroding away, but that's the measurement we have on that. And if you look at Patty and where she's standing and that stump and size, in my brain, which is, it's been used a lot, so it doesn't work as well. My brain is now thinking she's a lot smaller than people are saying she is. So when you ask me the weight question, that's why my brain goes back there with a lower body weight. I just throw it out there on that one. But that's the project we're still working on. We're going to be back up again this year.
Oh, cool.
Because, the fires kind of put a dent in us going up there all through the summer. And I couldn't make the opportunity in October before they closed. So we're going to try to get back up there again this summer and finish our experimentation, which is using a period camera, similar to the one that was used, using the older film, same type film style, and walking the course and lighting up the artifacts with lights to overlay and
Wow.
distances, and that will give us a better idea, which is guessing, but a better guess as to her height, which is kind of a fun project.
When are you going to do that, Robert?
Well, I don't know the exact day, but it's going to be this summer. We were supposed to do it last summer, but I mentioned the fire. And so this summer, Roddy's excited about it. I'm excited about it. I'm pretty sure Perez will want to jump in on it. And we're going to continue our experimentation to try to figure out which lens size is the best to use.
Yeah.
That'll give us a better understanding at distance and movement.
So don't you agree, Robert, that this film is going to continue to teach us things if we continue to investigate things? There's more for it to tell.
I think that's part of the reason we want to go find it and confirm it, because there's so much more you can learn out of that. just like that film site. We put cameras around the film site, and guess what? We confirmed that the Humboldt marten still exists in that area and has a healthy population. And the Humboldt marten was an animal species they thought was on the way out. They hadn't seen it for a while. And in the 1940s, they stopped hunting them because the numbers were so low. They were scarcely seen. And even Oregon and Northern California put a moratorium on the pelts. And
Robert, would you have time to take audience questions at this point? We've got some really good questions coming in from the audience live. Can you answer? Would you be willing to take some?
Could you say it again? You're kind of coming in and out here.
He's way out there. Yeah, would you be able to take audience questions, Robert, at this point? We got a bunch of them.
Only if they're good ones, but go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, first one, David Ellis. Robert, do you plan on filming on a bright sunny day when you do your reenactment with your lenses?
We try to get as close as we can to the 130, I guess, if you want to say that. But the problem we run into too is we need as much light as we can get to light up the place, and it's in the canyon. So if we're filming in the summer, the angle of the sun's totally different, so that's going to affect things differently. Yeah. So if you want to be more accurate, we should try to hit it about 1:30ish, counting in a few leap years, of course. About 1:30ish in the afternoon in October to be more closer to what we want. So during the end of summer, we get better lighting because the angles kind of moves differently. So that's something we have to take in consideration too. But it gets dark early. The windows are small, and it's still forest cover, so we don't get a lot of light in there. So we have to light up our artifacts with lights at the end, shooting into the lights so we can match up the artifacts. So that is a tough one. We've run into problems. It's still too dark. So our alleged model has to wear white clothes so we can see them and stand out better. But yes, we try to get as close as we could to the time of day, just because it makes sense to try to duplicate that. And David, I hope that answered that question for you.
I think so. And I would imagine if you went there in October, the weather's kind of risky at that time of year, you know.
It always is. Expect some rain and be pleasantly surprised if you don't get it.
What was one of the best cases that you ever investigated, Robert? One of your best cases.
I'll say this: the most interesting one was Bart Coutinho's thermal sighting that he did in 2012. It was came up in September to lead the investigation for it. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but it's very close to the Sierra Kill site. And there has been some activity. So what the activity led to Bart showing up, and Bart got lucky, and he was able to record an hour. I'm going to say an hour, but 40 minutes of footage around that area of glowing figures coming in and out of the scene there. And they were up there because of alleged reported activity. They were up there because it's within a quarter mile of the kill site. And so I came up there with a skeptical mind, and my job was to tear up the evidence and disprove anything. And so that's what I wanted to do. So when I first heard about it from Bart, he sent me some of the footage. And so I sat there with Roddy Kelly, tearing it apart, saying all that glowing object, this is the thermal footage, that glowing object there, that's stationary, must be the fire ring. Oh, this guy walking back and forth. I wonder if it's somebody at the campfire looking to get some wood. And that was my first approach to it. When I went to do the investigation, it was totally different because you can't see the fire location from the gap that Bart was at. And the distance was maximum distance to get a good thermal image. And then the thermal footage that is was having some difficulties. He had to take it in later. And also humidity does affect thermal pictures as well. And so a lot of factors went into that. So we used, we had about 12 of us doing the investigative back and forth. And again, we used Kip as the model, 6'3" Kip, to move in and out of the gap. Because if you watch the footage, there's this mini.
I don't know if you can hear me, Robert, but you've kind of cut out.
Possibly 4.
Robert, do you want to repeat that last part?
Yeah. After what?
That was like 20 seconds. You've been gone.
Yeah. Sorry,
I just gave you the winning lotto numbers too. Okay. So they were 4 possible figures. Did you guys hear that part?
Yes.
Okay. There's 4 possible figures because I had one time doing that 50 minutes. Sit there and look. One is not moving. One is moving back and forth. One on the far right drops an object, possibly a rock. One is passing way through the gap at a distance. So possibly 4, because it's like you're looking down the center of a line and anything crossed them on the right or the left. So I had all my fingers and I'm counting them and they're all.
I think we lost him again.
Maybe he could move a little bit sometimes. That would help.
Well, I don't think moving around is going to help too much here. It's just this is the cost of doing business to live in God's country out here in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, we're all jealous.
Kind of in a pocket.
We're all jealous.
Good internet. Yeah.
Have you ever seen a creature or part of a creature or any sign of a Bigfoot with your own eyes?
I cannot say I've seen a Bigfoot creature. I've seen shadows moving around. I've driven by an object squatting down, and when I turn around to go check it again, it wasn't there anymore. Mm. I've had rocks tossed. I've had and shutting up once I yelled over and went over to see what they were doing. I've heard whistling, but I've never sat there going, "Hey, look, there's a Bigfoot walking over there." Yeah. Like I had a podcast yesterday, and I shared the story that's in the book of at the film site, above the film site, just about the road, checking it with my wife, and then walking back down the hill to camp about 2 miles down, and being followed by something and flanked. And when I stopped, it stopped walking a couple. And I decided I'm going to head back to camp. And you would think, yeah, Robert, you should stay right there, and see it, your own eyes. But I decided that even though I had my 40 cal in my hand and my bear spray in my left hand, standing in the time.
Oh, yeah, we're losing you, Robert.
Yeah, it's 9:00. I don't know if we should wrap it up. It seems like we were fortunate earlier on in their interview, but it looks like he's going through a bad connection.
It's probably the good satellite is leaving.
Yeah.
It's over the horizon. We'll see if we can get him back here. Robert, just so you know, you're cutting in.
I can hear you guys. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. So if you talk nice and loud, maybe we can get you here. So what's your feeling? Are we ever going to get this mystery resolved? What do you think it's going to take to get it resolved? Who is trying to resolve it? And how do you think it might happen?
Well, if we resolve it, it's going to ruin it. And then we'll have to go chase Loch Ness monsters or something, or aliens. So I think that DNA, I think you need a body. I think you have to have a tissue. You have to say this tissue from this subject A matches this tissue from subject B, and we have an animal that can be matched genetically, tissue sample wise. If you have a tissue sample that doesn't match anything, then you don't know what it is. You just have a tissue sample and you're assuming it's a Bigfoot, right? If you can match a tissue sample to a living creature, that's good. So you got to have a living creature in order to say this is where the samples come from. So you have a scat sample, but if there's any DNA skin cells associated with that scat sample, then you need to have the subject to compare it with. And hair samples, same idea. You have specimens or samples that don't match, but then you need to go over to subject A, pull a couple hairs off of them, and then go over to subject B and say, look, we have a confirmation, it matches. That's how I kind of feel about it. Part of me says, live and let live, and let's just enjoy it for what it is. To the native people, it's sacred. Don't mess with it. But inside ourselves, we're going, in order to prove it exists, we might have to get a subject to do it. Good luck live trapping a subject. If you can do that, well, then you don't have to take one. But it's probably, that's controversial process of that, to do that in itself. But that's kind of how I feel at this point, how it's going to go. I think that there are people who are satisfied that it exists based on what they've witnessed, what they've heard from friends. But then there's a lot more people who haven't had that opportunity to experience those things. And their opinion is going to be quite different. And there are some people who are convinced now, and they don't need to be proved in anything else. But then there's the other group that is suspicious of such.
You notice when it cuts out, Alex, it's always right during a really good soundbite.
I know.
He's such an amazing, articulate guest.
He is. He's incredible.
I just wish we had a good and solid connection.
I know.
We're going to have to get him back on when he is somewhere in town.
Yeah.
Well, I can still hear you guys.
There we go.
Can you guys hear?
Yeah, we're talking behind your back. We're saying good stuff about you.
Do I need to repeat any of that, or you guys got that?
Well, yeah, no, I think we got the gist of it. One of the questions I had for you is, let's just say we could shoot one. Why couldn't it be shot with just a small biopsy dart?
There's been talk about that. I think if you're going to use, you have to get close for that, if I remember rightly.
Very close.
There's size in order to become effective on that. And then you have to get close enough to be able to take that sample and then, of course, retrieve it. I guess the group in Oklahoma, I think it's Oklahoma or Texas, is working on DNA points, sections where they can get hairs, things passing through. So there are some people trying to work projects like that to get some hair samples but I mean, if it works, that would be great. Then you don't have to take a life to do it.
Yep. Do you have any opinion on what these things might be, Robert?
I think it's just like almost every continent has some kind of primates associated with it. And you're thinking, I think maybe it's just a primate. I mean, I'm not going to say it's a native culture that's different than the rest of our native cultures. If you go back and you look at all the new archetypes, different species of similar to human. Animal, if you want to call it that, or subject, is a remnant population of what used to be common in different areas. And based on just isolation in certain locations that they've able to exist as long as they have. You look at a lot of the native cultures, there's stories that describe like people that aren't of their culture. They're different. Like they live on the mountain. We stay away from that area. But it shows up in history, oral history. Even in Europe, there's talk.
Oh, we lost you again, Robert.
Yeah,
I believe that if you have it in history, if cultures talk about these things and draw pictures of these things, are they all making it up? And so there is something out there that culturally has existed, and maybe in some areas it no longer exists there, but it has. I mean, we don't know how the common cold will affect humans in one area. If you live in a culture area that you're not used to certain diseases, and somebody populations, and if you have this creature that's living in the woods, isolated from everybody else, out of contact of any of these other things that might affect them, and then what comes in is, how do they escape the game cameras? How do they escape all these tools that we have today? We have thermals and night vision gears. And how are they escaping the really good evidence? But then I flash back to what the investigation you asked me about earlier with Bart and the thermal sightings. I mean, the guys around the fire heard the movement. They didn't see it. Bart and I'll get his name now. They walked past it. You can see it. So, the guy, the world's greatest hide and go seek expert. So maybe that's a lot to that culture. They've got to a point where they can avoid contact to a point of being able to do it. And I guess the question is, how do they pull that off?
Yeah. Yeah, and I would imagine you're probably not 100% on their existence, but pretty close.
I'm pretty close. When people ask me, Robert, why are you so skeptical when you have all these experiences and stories that you share around the campfire? And it's because I'm so critical of myself. I have to prove beyond reasonable doubt. And when you hear somebody call your name, or you have a shadow that passes and it stinks, or you kind of feel like somebody's holding you down on your air pad, it's just like, what is the logical explanation for this? And I am at a loss many times to trying to figure it out. I could just about any of my experiences as being maybe a natural experience or wildlife contact. But then there's several that I've run out of ideas of how in the world is. Mike was a good friend, and he had gone to the film site in the early days. And we met him because he went to the film site and he signed in, and we become really good friends. And in 2021, in July, he passed away of COVID. That September, October, my wife and I were visiting at the bottom of the berm, and we're spending the night. And I was woken up because I heard somebody say, "Buenos dias." And there was nobody around that area. And Mike Mraz was bilingual. And I wonder, at the back of my brain's going, was that Mike dropping in and letting us know that everything was okay? And how in the world do I explain that?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's just your imagination, but it's like when you experience things that don't make sense to most people because they haven't had the opportunity to do that, and you share it, people kind of write you off as being a nut.
You're cutting out, Robert. I'm sorry. God, I just wish to God.
I think we had a great first half. I think we should
Yeah, I think we're going to need to wrap it up, Robert. If you're ever going to be in town somewhere where you can get a good connection and you'd love to let me know, we would love to get you back on. Love to get you back on.
I think what I'll have to do is talk to Rowdy Kelly, and he lives in Fortuna, and he has better Wi-Fi connection and stuff. So maybe I'll have to schedule with him and use his access in order to have a conversation that doesn't fade away.
Yeah. So Alex, can you arrange that with Robert?
Yeah,
and
that'd be awesome.
Get that done maybe for June or even July. But let's see if we can get you in a different location, because you're such a brilliant person, Robert, that we are all very lucky that you're involved in this, and we're very, very fortunate. So with that, guys, everybody, please remember, if you make hard choices, you're going to have a much better, easier life. If you make easy choices and only the easy choices, you're going to have a harder life. That's my advice for tonight. Good night, I guess. We love you all. Thank you much, Alex. Thank you, everybody in chat. Yeah, I'm sorry, Kevin, I didn't get to your question. We'll ask it next time. So with much love, we're going to sign off.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
I call you up in the middle of the night, been bothered by dreams, ain't feeling alright. You give me comfort, say just give it some time. By the end of our talk, I'm feeling just fine. You and I will always know where we belong. This ain't no ordinary love we got going on. We head on down the road until we get bored. Just you and me and the sun and the wind. If the rain should start falling, we'll head on home again. Everybody else can see where we belong. Oh, ain't no ordinary love we got going on. At the end of the world, together forever is one, and I'll wait. If ever you should be in doubt, and I'll pray they never can pull us apart, and I'll wait for the time when we'll be together every day. But I know if ever we'll be led astray, that I'll find my way back home to you again. Together forever is one, and I'll wait if ever you should be